He stood at the bus terminal alone, a duffel bag slumped beside his boot, his left sleeve hanging looser than the right. His face, unshaven, eyes dark with sleepless miles, didn't match the crispness of the uniform still hugging his frame. No one was there to meet him. No banner, no hug. Just exhaust fumes, cold benches, and a broken vending machine blinking out of order. When he stepped into town, people noticed, but not in the way you'd hope. A store clerk flinched when he reached into his jacket for a receipt. A teenager whispered something about unstable vents. A mother pulled her child a little closer as he passed, her eyes flicking to the scar on his temple. He hadn't even made it home yet, and already the battle had started again. If you believe no one should return from war to silence and suspicion, type honor in the comments. Hit like to stand with those who served, and subscribe to Veterans and Hero Stories, because the war doesn't end when the plane lands. His name was Daniel Rourke, age 29, Sergeant First Class, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Syria, 1 hell of a back injury from a roadside IED. His file said honorable discharge. His body said barely holding together. His eyes said nothing. He was tired of speaking to people who looked through him. Daniel grew up in a small town called Ashbury, population 5,400, a place where folks said, God bless, after sneezes, and church bells still rang at noon. He left at 18, full of purpose, full of fire. He came back 11 years later, quietly, like smoke. No one met him at the station, not because they forgot, because no one knew he was coming. He didn't want parades. He didn't expect free meals, flags, or folded hands. He just wanted a place to breathe. To sit on his mother's porch, drink weak coffee, and let his lungs remember air that didn't taste like dust and gun oil. He wanted to sleep through the night without twitching at sudden noises. He wanted to stop looking over his shoulder for threats that weren't there anymore. He wanted to come home and still belong. But Ashbury had changed. Or maybe it hadn't, but Daniel had. The hardware store, once his summer job, turned him away politely. Sorry, position filled. At the diner, the waitress hesitated before taking his order, eyes darting to his service dog's vest. Just don't let him bark, okay? She said. The same high school he'd once walked through proudly now had a security guard follow him for 3 aisles when he entered for a veteran's job fair. A local kid called him War Boy under his breath. Even at church, Pastor Mark asked him to speak at the Veterans Day service, then, without waiting for an answer, added, just keep it light, you know? Nothing about PTSD or trauma. Some folks get uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Daniel had slept in mud while mortars whistled overhead. He'd comforted a dying 19-year-old whose last words were, "Tell my mom I wasn't scared." And now he was the problem. 3 weeks in, Daniel had stopped wearing his uniform outside. He didn't want to invite stares. He stopped taking his service dog, Kilo, to the diner after a customer complained about animals near food. The final straw? A flyer taped to his mother's mailbox. Keep the PTSD freak away from our kids. This is a peaceful neighborhood. It wasn't signed. Cowardice never was. Daniel folded it neatly, placed it on the kitchen counter, and walked to his truck. He drove until the road ran out, an old logging trail that no one used anymore. And there, alone in the silence, he let it hit him. Not the anger, not the insult, the grief. Because he'd bled for this town, and they looked at him like a threat, but someone else had seen. Someone who didn't flinch, didn't judge. Lena Dawson, 17, senior at Ashbury High. She bagged his groceries one afternoon at the general store, saw the look in his eyes, the stiffness in his back, the limp he tried to hide. And more importantly, she saw the patch on his sleeve. Later that night, she posted on the town Facebook group, "There's a soldier back in Ashbury. He doesn't smile much, but I saw how he watched the flags on Main Street like they meant something. If this town forgets him, then we're not the town I thought we were." 27 likes, 3 angry reacts, 1 private message from her history teacher. But it started something. It started with a knock. Daniel opened the door to find Coach Harlan, his old football coach, standing on the porch. "Didn't know you were home, son. You need anything?" Next day, the diner had a small sign in the window. "Veterans eat free on Fridays. We're glad you're home." Then came the high school invite. Not from the staff, but from the students. "Come speak," the class president said. "Tell us what it's really like. We want to know." The mayor, slow to act as always, showed up next, holding a resolution in one hand and a coffee thermos in the other. "We're naming a trail after you," he mumbled. "Didn't think you'd care, but, well, turns out some people still do." But not everyone agreed. A group calling itself Ashbury for Peace wrote an op-ed in the local paper. "Glorifying violence only invites more. Let's honor peace, not war." The comment section exploded. Daniel read them all. "Should have stayed overseas. These guys come back thinking they're heroes. Why don't you get a real job instead of playing soldier?" He didn't respond, just quietly returned to his mother's shed and began packing again. Maybe it was a mistake, coming back, believing people still wanted him here. That Saturday, he went to the market for the last time, bought apples, dog food, and a small American flag. He wasn't sure why. At checkout, Lena was waiting. She didn't speak, just handed him a folded note. He didn't read it until he got home. "Town Square, 3 p.m., just trust me." He almost didn't go, but Kilo barked once, short, firm. So they went. And what he saw broke him, then rebuilt him. They were standing, hundreds of them. Students, teachers, firemen, grocery clerks, veterans in full uniform, families holding flags, kids with posters. "Welcome home, Sergeant Rourke." In the center of the square, a podium. At its base, a plaque, uncovered that very morning. "Ashbury welcomes home those who served, dedicated to Sergeant Daniel Rourke for showing us what service looks like, even when we forgot." Lena stepped forward, handed him the mic. Daniel didn't speak for long, just enough. "My name is Daniel. I served, and I came home hoping to be part of something again. Looks like I already was." That night, the bells rang again in Ashbury, not for a wedding, not for a funeral, just to say thank you. Daniel stood on his porch, coffee in hand, watching a kid ride by on a bike with an American flag tied to the seat. Kilo slept at his feet. The flyer on the mailbox was gone. In its place, a hand-painted sign. "We're glad you're home." Months passed. The trail renamed in Daniel's honor became a favorite among families. Veterans started gathering every Sunday near the memorial stone. Coffee, donuts, no speeches, just presence. Daniel began volunteering at the high school, helping students write letters to deployed troops. Sometimes he didn't even need to speak. His story had already done the talking. Because homecoming isn't just about returning, it's about being received. And Ashbury, it finally remembered how.